Hey everyone. So I am going to film today what I said I was going to film in my 10 top best Degrassi Next Generation couples. I said I'd probably do a 10 worst Degrassi couples from the Next Generation, so that's what I'm going to do. So let's just get straight to that. So for number 10 and 9, both of these are couples that are on this list. Simply because they're boring. Because I mean, you might think that like being boring doesn't constitute someone being on a worst couples list, but like to me it does, because boring couples just take up unnecessary screen time and just are a waste of my time. They could be with people who are better for them. And so I'm just gonna quickly say number 10 is Jimmy and Hazel, because my poor man Jimmy, like I've said in my other video, he was like never paired with someone who fit him for the most part. He would always get put with people who I didn't really care for at all or just straight up didn't like. So Hazel was one of those people. Sorry, she had like literally no personality. And number 9 is Kelly and Emma, because I didn't hate Emma with everybody who wasn't Sean. That's just not the truth. But then again, now that I'm thinking about it, did I ever actually like her with anyone but Sean? But anyways, yeah, they were just boring, and that's in part because anytime that a show like not a show, but the Degrassi tries to continue showing its characters after they leave Degrassi, it's not the same, because they, at the end of the day, the main character of the show is Degrassi, the school, not these characters. Number 8 is a couple that is on my list because I didn't like them when they were on the show, and they were just so obviously one of those couples that were made because they needed to be an obstacle for another couple to not be together, and for another couple to like realize their feelings for each other, and that is JT and Mia. I never once saw that couple and thought it was actually serious. I just thought it was a waste of time and as a distraction, and obviously, like I said, like an obstacle. It was a clear, obvious obstacle so that JT and Liberty couldn't be together towards the end of his run on the show, and it really still angers me to this day that JT was with Mia, and Mia will always think that JT died wanting to be with her. That's not what happened, like. And then number 7 is one, it's like not necessarily a pairing, it's more like one person and then basically every relationship they've been in, except for one, and that is, so number 7 is Peter and literally anyone who wasn't Darcy, because Darcy was the only good relationship he had on that show. I absolutely despised him with Mia. One of the worst pairings of the show. Us and Peter's storylines also started getting just horrible, and I never liked Mia, so her story clearly, like, didn't like her with JT, didn't like her with Peter. Her storylines started off boring because she was like teenage mom, and then they just ended ridiculous with her modeling thing, and then she left, and then she went to the Vampire Diaries, so good for Nina. But yeah, I also didn't like Peter with Emma, because I mean, I'm pretty sure I just actually came to a realization today I didn't like Emma with anyone but Sean. And I didn't think they were a good pairing whatsoever. Like, Peter was at his scummiest when he was with Emma, and I just don't understand why Emma would ever even want to be with Peter after what he did to Manny literally like one season before. So as to why they even were a thing is beyond me. And then number 6 is another one of those people who is just a person, and I hate every relationship they were in. This person wasn't even a main character. That's how much they pissed me off, genuinely. And that is Damien and literally everyone that he dated, because he was with Manny. Like, she could have been with Jay in the time, you know? Like, it annoys me. And then I didn't like his relationship with Emma. And then I didn't like his relationship with Liberty, because I'm pretty sure he was even like chasing Liberty and trying to get with Liberty, or they like had a thing when he was still with Emma. And that's another thing, like, he really tried to get with all 3 of these best friends, and you know, the 3 BFFs also like allowed him to get with all of them. I just didn't understand what they saw in this guy, and this guy just gave me vibes. He gave me bad vibes from the beginning, and those vibes continued on, and I just didn't like him. Then number 5 is a couple that I was going to mention. Like, I said in my best couples list I was going to mention them in my top 10 worst, and so here they are. That's Spinner and Manny, because Spanny was gross, okay? They were basically a couple that sprung up from cheating, basically. And as to why each of them would want to get with the other is beyond me, because Spinner had a really thing going with Paige, and plus, like, Manny and Craig had not just, like, the whole abortion storyline was, like, season 4, and Spinner and Manny got together in season 4. why? Why would you want to get with Manny? It didn't make an iota of sense. One of your best friends, because Craig and Spinner were used to be best friends, like got with this girl before you, you know? So why would you want to go with her? Like, and it ruins something you had that was really good with Paige. I just don't understand. And then number 4 and number 3 could have easily been like one of those, I could have put them together because they're both the same person. Like, it's related to the same person, but I hate this person so much and I hate all the pairings that this person had so much, so I can literally genuinely like put them as like 2 different categories. So number 4 is Ashley and Craig, because Craig, as I have said before, and I will always say, is my all-time favorite Degrassi character. He was almost outbeaten by Monroe Chambers, you know, by my boy Eli Goldsworthy, but at the end of the day, Craig is my number 1. He will always be my number 1, and he just, I don't know, like, he on one end, he deserved better than Ashley, but on the other end, as a Craig fan, even I can say that Ashley deserved better than Craig, especially towards the beginning. Like, maybe towards the end, sure, Craig deserved better than Ashley, at least I think so. But towards the beginning, I can definitely see why Ashley should have moved on from Craig. And in fact, they probably wouldn't even be on this list if she had never gone back with him after he cheated on her, because I actually didn't mind their like first initial relationship before he started, you know, cheating on her with Manny. So they wouldn't even have been on this list if it weren't for that fact. But she did take him back, and then they had a really like boring, unnecessary relationship through like season 4, and before she like, I'm pretty sure she like dumped him over like, didn't even dump him. I feel like she didn't even dump him like face to face. It was like over online. She was like in London. She was getting with some London guy. It was so like, I'm pretty sure that happened, and it was just like really unnecessary. So yeah, from both sides, I just don't understand why anyone would really ship this couple. I just don't think that Ashley was ever the girl who he should have been with, or who could handle all the stuff that he had to go through, specifically like in season 4. And then number 3 is another Ashley pairing, and it's Ashley and Jimmy. And they're another one of those couples like Ashley and Craig that if they wouldn't have been on this list, if they didn't go out, like if they didn't try to go out again way later into the show, because I can understand shipping them in season 1, and I can even sort of understand shipping them in season 2, which I'm pretty sure is the last time, because they tried to like get back together. Like after everything that happened in the season 1 finale, I'm pretty sure that there was a time in season 2 where they did try it again, but they had just changed too much as people, and they realized that they'd grown apart from each other, and she was already kind of developing Craig's, like feelings for Craig sort of at that time, you could tell, so it made sense that they would break up. But then they tried to put them back together, like Degrassi put them back together towards the very end of their run on the show, and that is why they're on the worst couples list, because I hate Ashley Kerwin. She only got worse as the show went on, because she was actually like sort of bearable in the first season, but further on I absolutely hated her, and she did Jimmy so freaking wrong, which in reality, if you think about it, she's been doing Jimmy wrong like since the beginning, because she did him wrong in season 1 as well. So I mean, it just is one of those things. I don't understand why anyone would ship them, and they just didn't need to have that like 3rd relationship. If they had just stuck to those first 2 relationships, it would have been fine, because I can understand that first love thing and wanting to try again with your first love, but then just realizing that you're growing apart. But and then number 2, it's gonna get this one really quick out of the way, because I already ranted about this in my best couples list about how much I hated this couple, and that's Spinner and Emma. Like, I've said it before, I'll say it again, the only reason they were put together was to write both Miriam and Shane off the show. I understand that, but it literally could have been done any other way. You ruined 2 really good couples, because Sean and Emma could have easily had like a reconciliation, even if we never saw his face ever again and we never saw Sean again. Literally, Manny could have just popped by, or Emma could have popped by and be like, oh my god, you know, Sean just coming from the army, I'm gonna go visit him. That could have been the end of her run, and we could just, as an audience, assume that she ended up with Sean, you know? She'd be like, oh, I'm gonna go visit him in his base or whatever. No. And then they obviously ruined Spinner and Jane, who were actually a pretty decent freaking couple for quite a while. So thanks, Degrassi, for ruining 2 good couples and then putting these 2 together and like literally staying together, because they got married and are still married to this day. And then my number 1, as much as I hate Spinner and Emma, my number 1 is just like a little bit more important, you know, because at the end of the day, it's one thing if I don't like a couple because I don't want these 2 pairings together and I want them with other people, but it's one thing for a couple to just be toxic and bad and abusive. So because of that, my number 1 is Rick and Terry, which obviously to anyone who's seen Degrassi, you know that Rick and Terry are an abusive couple. he's abusive to her, and it's one of those storylines that I'm really glad it was told because it needed to be told, especially at the time that it was being told. It was like 2003. So it's a really good storyline, and it fit, like, it wouldn't have made as much of an impact with any other character, in my opinion, but Terry, because she had that low self-esteem, she had those body issues, and so, you know, she found this guy who actually liked her, and so she thought that he was going to be the one to, like, see past everything, and he just ends up being the absolute worst, and that's what's, like, so heartbreaking about it, and what made it so much, like, more powerful. And of course, that one relationship, if you really think about it, created so much negativity later on down the line with, you know, Rick's bullying storyline because of their relationship, and then the shooting storyline that happened because of the bullying, because of their relationship, and then, you know, how Jimmy and Spinner's lives were literally ruined forever. Not necessarily ruined, but like changed forever after the shooting, which happened because of the bullying, which happened because of the relationship. So at the end of the day, that one relationship actually impacted the course of the entire show and a lot of people's lives, which is pretty, like, that just goes to show you you're the worst couple on the show when one thing, like, has this domino effect on so much of the other parts and components of the show. So yeah, definitely, you know, Rick and Terry have to be number one because Rick was the worst to Terry. So that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this because I love talking about Degrassi, and see you guys later.